Welcome to the next episode of the TeacherZone with Chris and Tyler. I'm Tyler Maroff, your co-host, and I'm with co-host Chris Bates. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. Hope you're doing well today, Mr. Tyler.
I'm excited. I'm ramped up for this episode, and we're going to be working on stage 2 of chaos to culture.
Mm-hmm.
Tell
It's
us
a
what
very
that is.
important one. Stage 2 is getting organized. And so I'm going to get my sheet and just read what we put here. We put, it takes a little time, but once you've done it, you have your sanity back.
Right.
And
So this is where we tell you guys who are just tuning in and don't realize we have a couple episodes prior to this. Please, this is what you do first. You get the ebook at teacherzone.com/chaos. Download that. It's free. It has the 5 stages you must grow through. And those stages are, stage 1 is chaos.
Yep.
Whether you're in it or not. Stage 2 is getting organized, which we'll be discussing today. Stage 3 is engaging students. Stage 4, fueling growth. And then stage 5 is where the rubber meets the road. And that's where you build a community changing culture inside your business. And so that's the ebook. Go get it. Back up to episode 1 if you missed it, stage 1 of chaos, and catch up with us, do your homework, and we're excited to move on with stage 2, Chris.
Stage 2, getting organized. And we talked last time, Tyler, we had everybody sort of look at your rules and your roles. So so hopefully you guys did your homework and you made a list of all the different, like an organizational chart, like basically what are all the roles am I? I'm an accountant. I'm a marketing person. I'm the actual, for a lot of you, you're the instructor. You're the head instructor in your lesson.
The janitor.
The
plumber.
Your conflict resolution
toilet now and then at one of our lesson businesses.
Multiple times. And in fact, if you and I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not afraid to take out.
It's normal.
Yeah, Tyler and I are really good at taking out the trash. Tyler, I know you've even repaired the roof before.
But recapping on the chaos that he's talking about, we put those roles in order. It doesn't mean you have to like the role. So if you don't like being the janitor and it takes some time up, that's what this episode's about, getting organized. So your homework, like Chris was saying, was to list your roles, all of them, and then find out which ones you're terrible at, but you have to do, and then find out the ones you love and that you're good at. That might be your superpower. Because Chris, what are entrepreneurs?
Well, entrepreneurs are heroes, but and we tend to be. I really, honestly, there is no greater hero in the world than an entrepreneur. A small business owner that becomes even a large business owner, at the end of the day, if you've created something from nothing, or for some of you that have taken over a previous business, but you had the courage to do so, you're a hero.
On top of it, if that business...
Can we be cheesy and just round of applause for the heroes of the world?
Also, if that business is helping the community and helping others grow, which is kind of our whole community that the TeacherZone with Chris and Tyler is all about, we are talking to anybody in the industry of having a lesson business or is in the business of teaching someone something, or their team does, or whatnot. That, to me, changes our civilization and society moving forward. And that's where Chris is coming up with that strong. If you're like, I'm not Superman, you need to take another look and humbly realize that you're doing something out of this world.
Yeah, if you're new and you're let's say you have your first 30 students, you're making an impact. You're making a difference. And so you're a hero for multiple reasons. One reason, because you had the courage to do what no one else has done before. So even if someone's had a lesson learning or teaching business similar to what you have, they've not done it your way. The great thing about services is for those of you that didn't study business, which is almost all of us, Business 101, there's 2 things we can sell. What are they? Products, services. That's it, right? We are not selling products in the lesson side of things. I know some of you actually do both. Cool, no worries. On the service side, however, there is no competition. you are your own entity because services are value driven, and we're writing that script each day as we keep increasing our value proposition. So
Right.
by being a hero, we're saying you're a hero in multiple ways. You're a hero, number one, for the impact you make. And then number two, you're a hero for all of the drama and stress and courage that you have to do what no one else has done before.
Speaking of that drama and stress, Chris, so when you do create something out of nothing that's helping others, that's when the storm brews. And sometimes Chris and I were just talking about this when we're in the thick of that, because we have to go back to that. And this is a cycle. So we'll feel this again at year 12. Like it'll feel like this feels familiar because we grew again or something. And it's like, okay, there's some unmanageability, like some chaos going on. Point is in the beginning, we might think that that chaos equals that utter success we were looking for. We think that the explosions around us and the people asking and needing things from you and the phone blowing up and all the unplanned work and phone calls that you did not plan was success.
Right. So for a lot of you that are still in chaos, listen, Tyler and I've been there too. We all do it at first. You go for a lot of you that started literally from nothing, you went from having a dream to having a thing. And so
you went from having a dream, then having 2 students and going, hey, I'm doing it. And then the dream is all around you.
It became chaos, but you may not define it as that. You might actually define it as your business. For a lot of you, we see it every day. You're literally calling us and you're saying, this is my business. And it's the most chaotic thing we've ever heard. And, but
and we relate.
Yeah, and we relate because we were there too. But
we talk to people all the time that are in it or have gotten out of it. We that's the best part about what you're going to get out of this series is it's not just about us. It's about the people we've locked arms with, and these are not unique stories. They're unique.
The first step is admitting that you're in chaos. It's admitting that you don't have the systems in place to where you're not having to wear every single hat of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is getting organized? Because that's what this episode's about.
Yep.
Getting organized. Tyler and I talked about this before the show, and we've talked about it before, but something that he and I really wanted to be clear about is the most simple way to define getting organized is what is it that you repeat daily or often, so weekly, monthly, that you can create a system out of. And that system can be everything from just rules, or it can be things like software or, cloud-based software. It could be a system is a pencil and a piece of paper. So in other words, there's lots of ways to create systems. So the point is
solve things. That's what they do. So if you've got scheduling, billing, communications and learning and all this in your lesson business, that's what we're speaking about right now. So we need solutions to those. And there's some people, you know what? We still talk to a school, I won't say where, that had a chalkboard. And their whole lesson business was still run on the chalkboard. And this was not a new business. That chalkboard had miles on it, years and years. And guess what, Chris? Is that piece of chalk and that chalkboard a system?
100%.
100%.
It works. It works. So having any kind of system is getting organized. The question is what is the most sustainable long term? Also, what's going to allow you to free up more and more time for not just yourself, but your staff. Absolutely. And everybody. So we'll segue into, you brought up the 4 things that you and I think are important, which is the scheduling, billing, communication, and learning. Mm-hmm. And let's get into that with regard to getting organized.
Okay.
I'd like to start, Tyler, with you and I. We've talked about this in the past, but something that the Michael Gerber book, The E-Myth, if you haven't read it yet, we've only mentioned it a billion times. Read it. The reason it's important for you to read or listen to is because he really spells out the distinction between being a technician, which means you're really good at something. So the chef opens the restaurant. The guitar player opens the music school or the piano concert violinist or whoever. The 3rd degree black belt opens the karate dojo. Basically, whatever you're good at, you tend to open that passion into your business. It's very natural, and so it's a natural transition into entrepreneurialism and into owning a business. The challenge is the chaos part tends to keep people mired for years. So you really start to grow and you start to build something, and then what happens is you get stuck, just like quicksand, or like I like the idea of let's just use water. You're swimming now in the pool, and so you're in the business. You're in deep. and you're in the pool, and so there's a definition that Michael Gerber uses: in versus on. And so I want everybody to write this down. Right, in versus on.
Listen up.
In versus on. Which one are you? So I want you to look at, if you are still per the homework on the first episode with chaos, if you're still wearing a lot of the hats, you're in. If you're still the go-to person on every challenge that arises in the company, you're still in. If you're still the one making all decisions and they have to go through you, you're still in.
That's a newsflash for a lot of people, that last one.
Yeah, they think, well, I'm the boss. I have to.
Yeah, we have to. And that the company hasn't gotten bigger than me if that happens. And if we truly want to get to that unbelievable life-changing culture in a brand or a business, in a community, we can't stop at us. We cannot be the ceiling.
Right. It's actually, you're doing your community a disservice because you're now in the way. And Tyler and I, and listen, we've owned businesses. We own our own lesson business. We've been in the way too. We get it. We still sometimes have to go, oh, we're getting in the way again, and then back off. So it's a constant process of revisiting, especially as a business owner, because we tend to be so energetic and passionate.
It's like, okay, Chris, well, what if we create 2 new things in the business on year 8? Well, who do you think most of the time, if you've got a great team, they will think of things and maybe even R&D it, even maybe on their own time.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Because by example, they watched us do it. We just took our time. We took nothing else, no fun sometimes, and we made something, got social proof of it, videoed it, and then launched it. So if you're launching new stuff, guess what follows it? There's no systems for the new stuff. There's the new 2 things you made, the 10 you build systems on for the last 10 years are fine. You might have taken away most of your hats except for 2 that you love. And then all of a sudden you're like, you guys, we can build this whole new thing because of the pandemic taught everybody how to learn online. And now we're going to make this. And all of a sudden you need to build everything again to handle.
You're back in chaos.
Or who's handling it?
Right.
Whoever.
You. Well, so chaos, the constant cycle of chaos arising again is natural and cool. It's just that you have to ask yourself, number one, are you always going to be the one that jumps back in the water? Or are you going to have your talented team members help? Number two, when you do jump back in the water, as soon as you realize, as we predicate at the beginning of this episode, creating a system is about things that you repeat, figuring out a way to systematize that. So as soon as you realize, okay, now this is becoming a thing that's repeating, that's the point to step back out of the way. So in versus on. If you're too in your business, then for a lot of businesses, you become the actual bottleneck that's causing a greater impact in your community. Doesn't mean you can't work in your business. Oh my gosh, Tyler and I have some amazing friends around the world that we help with TeacherZone that, some of our friends, Freeway Music, shout out, to Don and Sarah back east.
Hey, Don. Hi, Sarah.
And all the Freeway crew. What I love about Freeway Music is that a lot of them do both. They're on and in. They're incredible business owners. And so they like
unbelievable musicians. That happens to be a music school, obviously. So they don't want to stop playing. So one of the ways they get to keep playing and give back to the community is like, well, play with them, do it with them. And so that's what they choose to do. And it's awesome to watch.
Yeah. So you can still take certain components of in and say, those are my superpowers. That's what fuels me. I want to contain. I still want to do that part. Like for me, let's pretend like I actually enjoyed, doing plumbing. Why not? If you enjoy it, that you can always be the plumber for the business. I know for some of you, you know what? I'll use an example. A lot of you actually that we talk to that own stores and stuff, you really enjoy doing repairs. And so if you enjoy doing repairs and it's your superpower and it actually gives you solace, well, you could still be the person for that. We're not saying you can't. We're simply saying by not being the go-to person for everything, it's going to get you out of chaos.
And it's going to let you get organized. By getting organized, you'll get to do that. And the next stage is engaging students. Like, oh my gosh, that's why we wanted to do this in the first place. You'll have more time to really look into and examine, is the culture we're creating, are these kids being treated right? Or are these yoga students being, is their experience what we want? Well, without getting organized, we don't have a lot of time to adjust those things unless you're working 20 hours a day. And if that's
and for a lot of you that are still in that challenge,
that's not my thing. I don't want to work 20 hours a day. I just don't.
Well, it's not sustainable. It's, you know, we've all done it. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you haven't worked, you know, crazy hours, then you're the anomaly. For most of us, that's been a thing at some point. And it's great to actually be able to organize not only your business, but your time better. And so as part of getting organized, let's talk about in the learning lesson teaching business, what are the 4 things that we've defined? There's more than that. There's many more. But just to dumb it down, there's 4 things Tyler mentioned earlier that we think are very important. They're the 4 things that we kind of built TeacherZone.com around, that we have our community around the world helping us better that. Basically, you guys are the heroes that TeacherZone's plight is to give, you know, better tools to the heroes so you can go fight crime, so you can actually do what you do. So what are the 4 things, Tyler, that we like to help with, or we think are important for organizing?
Right. The 4 things that really free up an unbelievable percentage of time, if you remove your hats and start to use a system based on these 4, it's unparalleled. The results you'll get in your personal lifestyle and your business lifestyle. Changed my life. And
yeah, they're the biggest time sucks and stress points.
So what they are, when Chris and I put systems based on scheduling, billing, communications to families, notifications, so that people don't have to chase things, find things, all that stuff. And then the last one is learning. We're in the lesson business, right, everybody? So scheduling, billing, communications, and learning are the 4 pillars. And
if you tackle those 4 things in getting organized, it's going to free up your time to get to where this whole 5-part series is headed, to building a culture. And it's super important. So let's just go through them real quick. Scheduling. If you're teaching anything, it's one of the biggest. I mean, Tyler and I kind of seen it all over the last 12 years. You know, in locking arms with you around the world, we've kind of seen there's a myriad of ways to do things, right? There's a mix of group classes and or private lessons. And there's all of these scheduling, herding of cats and nuances and rules and things that you all come up with.
Now there's schools have gone fully virtual because of the whole world learning how to go virtual overnight. So there's a lot of, and that's ever changing as well. But what doesn't change is the reality that a business needs to survive, especially a lesson business, on when, how much, so we can keep our lights on.
Scheduling when, how much, the money, billing.
Yeah, and then the communications like, hello, you need to know this is happening. Are you happy? You need to be able to communicate to us. And then lastly is the learning part. Man, so it's 2021, Chris.
Yeah, and, I mean, well,
there's a lot of solutions with that now. Content's king. People are taking advantage and killing it right now with just
all the learning side
content. Yeah, I mean, so those 4 pillars are just where to start.
Yeah, I mean, cloud-based software. When COVID hit, a lot of you told us that it changed. That you were so grateful that you were part of a cloud-based system. So we know a lot of you have some other systems out there, and that's fine and all. we'd highly encourage you to get to a cloud-based system. What that basically means is that any device, anywhere, anytime, you and your staff can access, parents can access, students can access, everybody can access. And so usually it's browser-based and or an app-based. And so what's great about scheduling, if we take that as an example, there's all sorts of scheduling, rescheduling. There's lots of nuances within that, like attendance taking. So if those of you are that are listening are not tracking when people are in and out of your lessons or classes, it'll change everything because it actually gives you metrics. It's also safety and security.
You can tell when people might be losing steam, customers or students might be losing steam and might be quitting someday. You'll notice behaviors based on. Now, if you only have 30 people and it's just you, sure, you can track that with a spreadsheet. But if you have 30 instructors and they have 30 people, that's not sustainable or scalable without a system. And Chris, tell us, we're going to tell, if you don't know who we are, you're just meeting us. Hello, first of all, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. But we are the co-creators of TeacherZone.com that actually solve the experiences we personally have felt over the years and the people we've locked arms with through TeacherZone.com around the world that are using the system to solve those 4 pillars. And we're going to tell you really briefly today how TeacherZone does solve those issues and causes you to free up that time. So Chris, why don't we just tell it how it works? Now, whether you use ours or not, it's not the point. We're going to tell you what we know, what we created, and how helpful it is. And so let's just get into it.
Well, we've talked about the scheduling part. And so the other aspect that I know plagues a lot of folks is collecting tuition or collecting money. For a lot of you,
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, for a lot of people, I think it's actually a sore spot. I think a lot of people actually feel guilty about charging for what they do. And so they kind of let people barter with them. They let people change. They have all sorts of rules. They're not automated because they let their customers tell them what to do.
Customers make the actual rules that causes the business to stay in business.
Right. It's madness from the standpoint of, to get out of that chaos, if you're literally letting the inmates run the asylum, you're never going to be organized enough to actually create a great impact. You just can't. You have to dumb it down. So what we often suggest is automated billing and don't have more than 3 options. And we know some of you have a lot of offerings, so you could have 3 options per offering. But 3 options, and here's why. Humans have been shown to not be able to make decisions past 3. Why?
3 choices. So if there's 4 choices, they kind of stop reading or walk away.
Right.
Too much.
And do you know why, Tyler?
No, you told me before. I forgot.
Remorse.
Ah.
Humans assume if there's too many choices, I'm going to pick the wrong one. So you're doing your customers a disservice. We had one customer once in New York say, I've got this. And when we actually drilled it down, they were offering 32 different options.
32 different plans to go take the lessons somehow with their instructors.
That's billing nightmare. And trying to track it, trying to keep track, trying to collect, trying to make sense to your customers. A lot of people aren't pulling the trigger because they're so confused. It's similar to when people do the restaurant makeovers. One of the first thing you see Ramsey and those folks do is they take that 20-page menu and pare it down to 2 or 1.
Right. Well, how many menus have you read at your favorite restaurants? How big are they?
Right. Now, usually the better ones are small.
Everybody does like that truck stop diner picture menu with the 15 folds with all the omelets and I like those. But in reality, it's can you give us a second? I'm still deciding which of the 73 omelets I'm going to have. But it is a harder that happens.
And I hate to say it, but there's a local diner here that had that menu forever, and the owner, who we all love, Ted, he died, and so the new owners dumbed the menu down. I like it better. I love Ted, but I only picked 3 things anyways on that menu.
Quick question, Chris. Does TeacherZone.com cap him? Was he able to do his 32 plans?
No, I mean, absolutely. So what's great is that our
No, don't
system,
do it.
no, I meant no on the cap. What's
Right.
great about software and systems is that there's unlimited possibilities. So you're welcome to design your business however you want. You're the heroes. But when we're trying to tell you how to get organized, for us, getting organized means a repeatable, something that you do all the time needs to be repeatable and simple. So scheduling, you need to have a way that you help manage scheduling, and in something like TeacherZone, what's great is that students can actually reschedule themselves. They can cancel lessons if they're sick, all that kind of stuff. You can also convert to online really fast. So in other words, if someone needs to, like a pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
you could easily quick to go to virtual. From a billing standpoint, what's great about automated billing is it's wake up money. Because you woke up this morning, you're going to get paid. You literally don't have to chase tuitions. It's super simple. And then it allows you to come up with whatever variables you want for what you charge and how you charge. But at least you're getting that money instantly and
Right.
not having to spend. A lot of times we've heard that you can save somewhere between 2,500 to 5,000 a month in administrative costs just on that,
Just by
just on
automated billing.
chasing.
Here's
Mhm.
another thing. That's a fancy number you just put out there, and a very familiar one. Before we automated back in the day, well before TeacherZone, we found when we really looked at the books and started getting better with our books that we were consistently 4 to 5 business days behind at about an average of $2,800 to $5,000 in
Mm,
monthly membership tuitions,
mm.
because we were trying to find them. And you know what? It's human beings. Human beings need systems, and so do the people that pay. And you know what? Even at that time, people were already getting used to the membership economy, anyways. Even your car payments are automated, mortgage payments are automated, and
Right.
those did not used to be. And now all of a sudden, everybody now they're asking, like, can I just pay the rent? Can I just have my bank pay you directly, or my credit card, or whatever? And that part alone, being at a deficit at any point in your business of that many thousands of dollars, is, if that's still happening to you, got to stop that.
It makes paying the bills hard. I mean, listen, your electric bill's still going to be due, your rent, payroll. And so, when you're getting paid consistently, it changes everything. So
Mhm.
let's jump to the next one, which is communication. So for a lot of you, you're still letting your teachers text, you're still letting your teachers communicate. And we understand, a lot of you run independent contractor businesses and you think, oh, that's what I have to do. We're here to tell you that that is a super challenging, you're adding an extra um, piece to this puzzle that we just aren't a fan of. We're a fan of set it and forget it communications. Have a
Right.
one-stop place where everybody's communicating in the same portal, where people are getting notified before a lesson, where people are getting notified if their credit card declines, where everything is just simple and you actually have the ability to customize and all that, those notifications. But once you've set them up, you're not having to worry about, oh, do I need to set a reminder to, let the people in this class know that the class is coming up Tuesday? No, because in an automated system like TeacherZone, there's others out there. There's
Right.
SMS and email notifications that go out automatically.
Right. Or if a teacher cancels because they're sick, or a student cancels, or there's a new student added to the roster,
Mm.
usually administrators need to send out something to everyone that it's been done. Well, if you drag it on to this system in TeacherZone, it immediately sends a custom communication to the teacher and the student. And for instance, if a student doesn't show up and the teacher marks no show, the administration gets an SMS text and an email, and so does mom and dad, custom, that says, hey, your child was a no-show to Miyagi-Do Dojo for karate lessons, and please contact this email address and let us know everyone's okay, or
Our
whatever.
parents,
That's
yeah,
all
our
custom.
parents love that because they know their kids are safe.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, we call it our no-show Amber Alert. Best things that we really love about having an internal system is that you actually can have, like our internal chat, Tyler,
Right.
where, teachers, groups, classes, everybody can have communications that's transparent.
And safe.
Safe.
And
So parents can see it. If your students are minors, everybody has access. Also,
Mhm.
school administrators can see what's being talked about. You can share files, all sorts of stuff like that. So communication is massive.
Right. And
yeah.
the technology of the actual students being able to hive together as a tribe in those chats that are safe. By the way, kids can't make their own chats in TeacherZone. Only teacher security levels are higher. But those chats we've found, kids that don't even know each other, or adults, or different yoga classes, that teacher can create a group with all the students to send out awesome material on new yoga moves or a live performance that they saw, and send it to their group community or multiple groups. Maybe they have adults in this one. Maybe they have teenagers in this one, so on and so forth. And what's happening is whether they're responding to the teacher's content or not doesn't really matter. They're in there together. Yes. And they're talking and they feel like they're part of something. So the communications is very clerical and administration based. Yes, like cool, it's in one spot. It's a system. We're refining it. We're organized, but it's also magical depending on how you want to set it up. So that's one of the perks.
Community and social is massive, because we're going to get into that in the culture episode, because humans are so community based that if we feel like we belong to something, we kind of don't want to leave it, and we want to stay. So if you're looking to retain students longer,
and I want to try harder.
Right, you do. You want to put in more effort. We're big. Tyler and I are big proponents of goal-based learning, and so when you've got a team and you've got groups that you're all trying to work hard for, and you have goal-based learning, it really helps build that sense of community that makes retention higher, which makes whatever skill or whatever thing you're trying to learn, it makes you learn a lot more, because you don't give up. You keep trying. So communication's big. The last one we want to get into is learning, because we can go down the rabbit hole of other parts of systems, because once you're taking attendance, for instance, now you got one-click payroll and other things that'll just simplify your life. So it's like, it's sort of like whatever you measure, now you can take those metrics and do things. So you can look at retention reports, or you can look at all sorts of different things that you measure. One of those things that we measure at our business that we think is really important is, what are your instructors leaving the students with for when they actually aren't with you? So whether it's 6 days before they're with you, or if it's group classes before the next class, what are you wanting the students to learn? Are you assigning them anything?
When they're not with their teacher, what's happening?
Yes.
Usually there's different types of lesson businesses out there. Some, like for instance, my jujitsu. If I wish I could get there 4 nights a week, because I have an unlimited membership, and each night there's something different being worked on, but I can't make it, but I can go. Okay, with that business, it would be awesome to be able to, you know who I never get to talk to outside of there? I never get to talk to my friends in there. Right. Like, I don't, maybe if I get a phone number or something, but how cool would it be to have my level blue belts and whatever be able to have a place to just talk and stuff like that. So there's different types of businesses that this comes into play on, but the learning and what happens the other 6 days a week is custom tailored to what your company wants to do. So
for instance, to use your group class as something, if you guys were learning a certain technique and that were a multimedia lesson that was assigned, then what would be so great is that when you're not there, you guys are able to pull up any device, pull up the apps, and actually watch your instructor showing how to do that.
Right. I missed armbar Wednesday. They were teaching arm bars. I missed it, and it's literally in order, and I'm going to have to relearn it. They do review it, but guess what? It's populated. It landed in my TeacherZone app, and I can practice it on my 8-year-old. Cool.
Yep. Perfect. So getting the learning side is imperative, because we need to know what our instructors are teaching, number one, because the better we can get those systems, the more impact we're making in our businesses. But also getting the learning side really kind of honed in is going to create higher retention. You're going to get students quit less, because anytime we can engage them in any way. So I'll just go so far to say the 4 elements we just covered: scheduling, billing, communication, learning, are all retention tools. Because if I'm not having to remind them to pay every month, they're going to stay longer. If scheduling it, you and I actually picked up a student in our business where the family said they left the other one, a competitor, because they didn't have a system for scheduling, and it was just such a nightmare they couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
So that's a retention tool.
People want to feel secure and like they're themselves or their kids, if it's a youth facility or institution, they want to know that they want to set it and forget it too. They want to be so comfortable with your brand that they only need to tune in maybe every now and again after they get used to your culture. And there's a lot of businesses that are in such chaos, they don't get to really give their parents that benefit. And at first, the culture's so fun, they don't care. But if those systems aren't in place, they get weary and they learn of something else and the grass is greener. And all of a sudden, they're going to go to the place that is pro.
It's very rare that students stay with you guys forever. Let's face it. Some of you will tell us, "Oh, I've had students forever." Of course you have. That's because
everybody's had those 10-year students. We've all had those. And you know what? They're accolades we should be proud of.
Right. But there is no staff member that's permanent. There is no customer that's permanent. It's all ever in flux, and our goal is to create a bigger impact to try and lengthen those relationships. And so if we can keep our teachers and instructors longer because they're happier and our systems are better, if we can keep students longer because they're learning more and they feel connected to their community and it doesn't feel chaotic and they have a consistent experience, that's what getting organized does. It helps give you more time, but it helps give your community and your staff a more consistent experience.
Staff, how many of you feel like the communications with your staff isn't where you would like it to be? Maybe it's fine and very amicable and all that, but how many feel like there's stones left unturned? Like there's a wish list you wish would be clearer, more transparent with your staff. If you did the first 4 pillars we talked about, put that system in place, you would have whole hours in each day to reconnect with the staff and find out what their goals in life are. How are they doing? I mean, when you free up your time, you get to go strengthen every aspect of your business. But if you're in chaos, you do not. And guess what? The staff just thinks chaos is either A, normal, or B, makes you unapproachable. And that's not what you want to do.
I love that, Tyler. When's the last time you had the time to just go see how your people are doing?
Right.
So for a lot of you that are in chaos with your hair on fire, you don't have the time right now to do that. So getting organized is going to
our employees on occasion. Sometimes I'm not going to say it's a system because my heart, I'm a fairly sensitive guy under this beard. And so every now and then my heart will go, oh, how, and something will happen, remind me of something and go, you know what? I need to call so-and-so. And I will call them, make sure they're free and they're not teaching and whatever. And I will connect with them. These are the people that Chris and I interviewed, learned all about, and have had great experiences with. And I'll call them and I'll say, hey, and they'll be like, what did something happen? You know what I mean? That might be their first. I'd be like, I just checking in, man. How are you? How's everything? How's your mom? And that there was a span of time for different circumstances and different reasons that I wasn't doing that at all.
Because if you're, I know why, and I don't, yourself 10 years ago wouldn't want to hear this, and a lot of you may not want to hear it, but it's because you're selfish. And what I mean by that is if you're in chaos and you're not working to get out of it, you're selfish. You're basically saying
other people. You're taking.
You're saying, I'm going to take all the work because you think you're a martyr or you're being selfless. I would posit the opposite. By not trying to get out of chaos, because maybe you feel trapped. We respect that, but just know that you have to ask for help. You have to work to get organized. You have to try and figure out your roles and can they be delegated to people that are better suited for those roles. You have to get systems in place for things that are repeatable. And by getting organized, you're actually serving others better. And like Tyler said, now he has time to, when he has the thought, he can actually reach out and connect with our staff. And actually make those important connections that make people want to stay with you for a long time. And let's face it,
makes me want them to stay for a long time, not just because there's money coming in. You know, I want these people here. I want these people to be happy. It's important. So Chris, how do we make the plan? Well, step one, I'm going to throw this in there right now. If any of what we talked about hit home with you, go to teacherzone.com right now and sign up for one of the best demos you'll ever have in your entire life. Our live demos with our staff are a riot. They're fun. They're informative. They check the boxes off for you. And our onboarding is unreal. The service side of getting you implemented into TeacherZone to get those, especially those 4 pillars off the ground. That is one way to make a plan. Go demo it, see who we are. What are some other ways we can, because we want to make a plan. It says, the ebook even says, make a plan to do or improve all these things and make sure your plan doesn't have you. I'm pointing at the camera for those listening to the podcast. That doesn't have you at the center of all the new systems you put in place. You cannot recreate and have these great ideas, make new systems, and then go, cool, I got these. These are awesome. I'm going to do them. There's got to be a different way. And you know what? Yeah. Using your org chart and using the talent around you in your business it's just an example of what we've done. We found that some amazing genius musicians at our lesson business one's really great at social media and editing and post-production and very extroverted in getting people comfortable. And he did not help us with any of that for how long? Years.
Right. And the more you try to work on your business, you're forced to identify the superpowers of those around you and look at, maybe they aren't quite as good as you, right? But you can only, we know you're a hero. We know you're amazing, but you can only wear so many hats. You can only be a superhero for so many things. So by picking your lanes, you're looking, like Tyler said, to those that actually have it. And in this case, Spencer, who we have doing our social media right now, he's perfect for that. He's the perfect person to take that off of our plate so that we can
right under our nose. Things. Someone may be under your nose and you can just go, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. You're awesome at the teaching side. But how would you like X amount of dollars in salary per month to help me with these 3 items? Would you be interested?
Okay, so that's a bonus. That's a bonus.
You might think they'd all say no automatically. Some assumptions that debilitate us and lock our hands up, and it doesn't free us.
Bonus tip. Yeah.
What
bonus tip is 2 hours a week, 1 hour a week. That's what we're talking about. It can be that simple. You can literally say, you know what? If I just had whoever could do this one thing, right? And when you really look at it, so if you look like at our business, we'll talk about it in a future episode, but we have a whole episode in the past where we talked about all the different roles, like the delegation roles. And if you look at a lot of the roles in your business, some of it's only an hour. So can you afford to spend find someone that's better at it and pay that person for 1 or 2 hours a week?
And imagine if you did that 3 to 4 times a week for a total of 8 hours. How much would that cost you? 8 hours a week for a month. Put that bill in your hopper, and I bet you it's minuscule compared to the time you're spending on it in your life. And then,
and for you to stop and start constantly, it's not just taking you an hour. It's probably taking you 2.
Right.
So you're getting
that's not good on a car engine. It's not good on you either.
Right. 100%.
How about that?
All right. So getting organized. Hopefully that was helpful. Do your homework. Make a plan to how you can start improving these things. Start looking at some of the elements of your business we discussed today. Start looking at delegation. Start looking at systems. What is it you're repeating constantly that you can get better organized? And how can you find help? That help can be in your staff. That help can be in cloud-based software. You need help. Stop being the end-all hero, because we all know that you guys are superheroes out there because you're an entrepreneur, you're a business leader, and we're just asking you to not do everything.
If there's a quick note.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a quick note in the ebook that I have printed out here. It says chaos and organization. That's what we just went over in the last 2 episodes. Are the first 2 stages, and these are stages you will actually grow through. But the next 2 stages, you will not grow through. Stage 3 and stage 4 will be the parts of your business that you're always learning, adapting, and improving. They are a continual part of your journey toward building a thriving culture. And it says, let's go on to stage 3. So let's look over those and we'll close. We did chaos. We did getting organized. Stage 3 is engaging your students. This is where the lights come on and you remember why you started teaching in the first place.
It's where the rubber meets the road.
Yep. And stage 4 is fueling growth. You're no longer just teaching lessons. You own the fact that you're a thriving business owner. So those are our next 2 episodes, and I just got chills. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about that with you. And Chris, thank you so much for all your insight as usual. You are the nugget master. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to the Teacher Zone with Chris and Tyler. And we will be with you again for stage 3, engaging your students. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Tyler. I have to say one last thing. Thank you for having the courage. If you're listening to this, thank you for having the courage to be a superhero.
You're special. Don't forget that. Bye, everybody.